Here is what nobody tells you until you are already at the gate, credit card out, boarding pass in hand, 200 people stacked behind you, and a gate agent holding your bag with an expression that says this conversation is already over. It happened to a woman I spoke with earlier this year. She had taken the same carry-on 11 flights, same bag, same airline, same route. On the 12th, the agent dropped her bag into the metal sizing frame at the gate, and it did not fit. She paid $75 to check it on the spot. She had been flying with that bag for years, and nobody ever said a word. Until this summer. That is the shift. The rules themselves have not dramatically changed. What changed is the decision to actually enforce them. And if you are still traveling the way you did 2 years ago, you are flying blind into a system that has been quietly reset. The bag that boarded without question on your last 6 trips could get you stopped today. Here is everything you need to know before you zip up that bag and head to the airport. The size limit you already know, and the part you are probably missing. The carry-on dimension limit is not new. American, Delta, United, JetBlue, Alaska, they all list the same standard. 22 inches long, 14 inches wide, 9 inches deep. You have probably seen that printed on a booking confirmation at some point and clicked right past it. What is different in 2026 is that the metal sizer frame at the gate, the one you have walked past dozens of times without ever actually using it, gate agents are now actively using it on passengers. Not occasionally, routinely. And here's the detail that catches almost everyone off guard. Those dimensions include everything on the outside of the bag. Wheels, handles, especially ones that do not fully retract, side pockets, external compartments, that little zippered sleeve on the back where you stash your charging cable. Every protrusion counts. The interior packing capacity of your bag is completely beside the point. What gets measured is the total exterior footprint at its widest, tallest, and deepest points when the bag is fully packed and the handle is fully extended. A bag that looks perfectly normal can fail the second you account for a handle that sticks up an extra inch or a side pocket that bulges when it has anything in it. Before your next trip, measure your bag at home. Pack it the way you actually pack for a flight. Extend the handle, check every pocket with something inside it. If it is anywhere close to the limit, assume it already exceeds the limit. Because at the gate in 2026, close enough is no longer being treated as good enough. Basic economy, the fine print you paid to skip. Picture this. You found a basic economy fare that saved you $40 over the next option. You feel smart about it? You pack your carry-on, get to the airport, and a gate agent flags you before you even scan your boarding pass. Your carry-on is not included in that ticket. On basic economy fares sold by American, Delta, United, and several other carriers, overhead bin access does not come standard. You get one personal item, meaning one bag that fits under the seat in front of you. That is it. Show up at the gate with a roller bag or a carry-on size backpack, and you are paying to check it at the gate rate, which is always the highest rate available, and always higher than what you could have paid online at any earlier point in the process. The booking screen does technically disclose this, usually in a fare comparison chart, in a row labeled carry-on bag with a red X or a minus sign next to the basic economy column. It is disclosed. It is just not designed to make you stop and read it carefully. Most people click through the checkout flow in a few minutes and never look at that section. The result is that you discover the policy at the gate, at the worst possible moment, with no cheaper option available. American charges roughly $40 for an involuntary gate check. United is in the same range, and the advance rate you could have paid during the original booking is completely unavailable once you are standing at the jetway. Every time you book a flight, check the fare class before you close the payment screen. If it says basic economy, light fare, or saver fare, go back and read the baggage terms in full before you complete the purchase. A $40 gate check fee on a $79 ticket is not a deal anymore. It is what the deal actually costs. Expansion zippers, the feature that is now working against you. You bought a carry-on with an expansion zipper. More packing space when you need it. Seems smart. Here is the problem most people do not realize until it is too late. Almost every carry-on bag with an expansion zipper is designed to sit right at or just under the standard size limit in its default unzipped configuration. The moment you open that expansion zipper, even partially, you add 1 to 2 inches of depth to the bag. 1 to 2 inches. That is the exact margin between a bag that boards and a bag that gets pulled at the gate. Gate agents have been looking for this specifically. A bag that is visibly overstuffed, one where the fabric is straining against the seams, where the base is bowing outward from the weight, gets flagged on sight before the size or frame even comes out. And once it gets flagged, the outcome is essentially already decided. That extra pair of shoes you packed into the expanded section, the jacket you squeezed in at the last minute, they just cost you somewhere between $40 and $75, depending on the airline. If you genuinely need more packing space, the answer is to add a checked bag during the original booking, when the rate is at its lowest. On most airlines, a checked bag added at checkout costs around $30 to $35. That same situation, gate checking a carry-on because it failed the sizer, costs $40 to $75 or more. The expansion zipper feels like free space. It is not. It is deferred expense, and in 2026, it is getting collected at the gate more often than before. Budget carriers. The fee ladder most people step on every rung of. Frontier, Spirit, Allegiant. These airlines built their model around low base fares and fees for everything else. If you have never flown one of them with a carry-on before, the fee structure can feel like running into a wall at full speed. Carry-on bags have never been free on budget carriers. In 2026, the price gap between paying early and paying late has stretched wider than most travelers realize. Add the carry-on at the time of booking, roughly $30 to $50 depending on the route. Wait until airport check-in, $50 to $75. Show up at the gate having never paid at all, $75 to $100 per bag per direction of travel. Most passengers end up at the top of that fee ladder because they either did not see the fee during booking, assumed it was optional, or told themselves they would deal with it later. Later is always the most expensive moment you can choose. Run the numbers on a full round trip. 2 passengers, 2 carry-on bags. Gate fees going and coming back. You are potentially looking at close to $400 in bag fees on a flight you thought you were getting for $100. When you book with a budget carrier, the carry-on fee is part of the price. Add it at checkout. That is the only moment when it is actually cheap. Personal items. This is where a lot of people get caught now. Think you are fine because you only packed a personal item and left the carry-on at home? This section is for you. The rule has not changed. A personal item needs to fit under the seat in front of you. That is the definition. Under the seat. Not in the overhead bin, not wedged into the overhead bin because you asked nicely, not balanced on top of someone else's bag in the overhead bin. What has changed is how consistently gate agents are enforcing that distinction, particularly on full flights where overhead bin space is limited. If your personal item ends up in the overhead bin, agents are treating it as a carry-on. On a basic economy ticket, that triggers the gate check fee immediately, the same fee you would have paid if you had brought a full roller bag. A personal item should measure around 17 by 10 by 9 inches. An overstuffed backpack that is rigid, fully packed, and clearly cannot compress to fit under a seat is not a personal item by function, even if it technically qualifies by stated dimension. If it is stiff as a board when loaded, it stopped functioning as a personal item before you even left the house. The airline's policy describes function, not just size. The odds of getting caught with an oversized personal item have gone up considerably this year, especially on flights boarding at full capacity. If your backpack cannot realistically slide under the seat in front of you, that is worth reconsidering before you get to the gate. Gate checking is not free. This assumption costs people real money. They will just gate check it for free. This might be the most expensive assumption in air travel right now. Airlines do gate check bags for free under one specific condition, when they are proactively asking passengers to voluntarily check carry-ons to save overhead bin space. That process is free because the airline is asking you to do them a favor. When your bag gets pulled at the gate because it does not comply with the rules, that is not voluntary and it is not free. American and United charge around $40 for an involuntary gate check. Budget carriers charge $75 to $100. The confusion comes from years when gate checking became normalized during flights where agents were practically begging passengers to hand over their bags. That was free. It trained travelers to expect gate checking to be free without understanding the context that made it free. Know your airline's gate check fee before you leave home. If your bag is borderline on size, check it online at the advance rate when you book. It is almost always at least $30 cheaper than standing at the jetway and having no options left. What airlines are required to let you carry for free. Airlines do not volunteer this information. Certain items do not count against your baggage allowance at all, regardless of fare class, regardless of carrier, regardless of how aggressively everything else is being enforced. Coats and jackets worn or carried on board. Umbrellas. Duty-free purchases made after security. Assistive devices. Food purchased inside the airport terminal. Airlines are required by regulation to allow these items on board without applying them toward your carry-on or personal item limit. You can board wearing your heaviest jacket, carrying an umbrella, holding a duty-free bag with a meal from the terminal, and none of that touches your allowance. Travelers who know this use it deliberately, especially on budget carriers where every inch of bag space has a cost attached to it. Wear bulky layers on travel days instead of packing them. Buy that bottle of wine after security and carry it as a separate item. Pack your heaviest shoes in a jacket pocket if you need to. These are not loopholes. They are written rules that work in your favor. The only difference between travelers who use them and travelers who do not is knowing they exist. Liquids, food, and medications. What the rules actually say, the 311 liquids rule, is being applied inconsistently right now. Airports with newer CT scanning technology can screen bags for threats without requiring passengers to remove their liquids pouch. At those checkpoints, agents are not pulling bags for liquids review because the equipment handles it automatically. Other airports are still using older scanners and enforcing the rule strictly. Safest approach: assume the rule applies in full unless you can visually confirm CT scanners at your specific checkpoint that day. Keep your liquids pouch accessible and ready to pull out. And bring an empty reusable water bottle through the checkpoint. It passes without any issue. You fill it at a fountain on the other side, and you save around $6 every single flight without thinking about it. On solid food, it is allowed through security. Sandwiches, fruit, snacks, full meals you packed at home. Bring your own lunch. Skip the $18 airport wrap if you want to. You are permitted to do this, and the savings add up. Spreadable foods like peanut butter, hummus, and yogurt follow the liquids rule because of their consistency. Solid food does not. On medications, for domestic flights within the US, TSA does not require original pharmacy packaging. A pill organizer, a daily sorter, a small travel case, whatever works for you. Security officers are screening for threats, not auditing labels. Travelers unnecessarily repack into original bottles before every trip because of a rule that simply does not apply domestically. For international travel, customs at your destination may have its own packaging requirements, but that is a customs issue at that end, not a TSA issue at departure. Duty-free purchases and connecting flights. Buy duty-free alcohol and then connect through a second airport where you re-enter security and your purchase can be confiscated even in the original sealed bag. The exemption applies on direct international arrivals only. Once a layover routes you back through a checkpoint, it does not apply consistently. The rule: only buy duty-free liquids on your final leg. If any connection requires rescreening, skip it. A bottle confiscated at a checkpoint is gone. No refund, no recourse. Knowing your rights when things go wrong. On significant delays, particularly on flights routed through or operated in Europe, EU Regulation 261 provides cash compensation based on delay length and flight distance. If you are handed a meal voucher during a delay, it is worth asking the agent directly whether accepting that voucher affects your right to statutory cash compensation under applicable regulations. The answer to that question will tell you exactly what kind of offer you are being handed. On lost or significantly delayed bags, the Montreal Convention sets international airline liability limits, currently around 1,119 special drawing rights per passenger, which translates to roughly $2,000. Airlines are required to cover reasonable expenses within that limit. The specific provision is Montreal Convention Article 22. Knowing it and being willing to reference it by name changes the tone of the conversation at the baggage services desk entirely. Most travelers have no idea either of these frameworks exists. Airlines count on that. Passengers who receive proper compensation for disruptions are almost universally the ones who arrived with some knowledge of what they were owed. What to do before your next trip: measure your bag at home, fully packed, handle extended. Check your fare class before closing the booking screen. If it is basic economy, read the baggage section completely. Add any bag fees at checkout, not at the airport. On budget carriers, calculate the carry-on fee into the total from the start. Pack with your expansion zipper closed. Wear your heaviest layers instead of packing them. Keep your liquids pouch accessible. Bring an empty water bottle. These are small adjustments. None of them take more than a few minutes to account for. But right now, at gates across the country, passengers who never thought twice about their carry-on are finding out mid-boarding that the calculation changed. The ones who know this in advance are the ones who walk on without incident, without a fee they did not budget for, without a conversation they did not want to have, while 200 people wait behind them. That metal sizing frame has sat at the gate for years. Most of us treated it like furniture. It is not furniture anymore. And if you think this summer has been a significant adjustment, what airlines are already testing for the next phase makes this look minor. There is one specific change in pilot testing at major US airports right now that directly affects how you board, not just what you carry. And most frequent flyers have no idea it is coming. Watch the next video before your next flight.